This code defines functions for creating, cloning, and freeing UTS namespaces, which are used to isolate the host name and domain name of a group of processes. Now, let's take a deeper dive. This code defines and initializes a cache for the UTS namespace objects. This function increments the count of UTS namespaces for a user namespace. This function decrements the count of UTS namespaces for a user namespace. This function creates a new UTS namespace. This function clones an existing UTS namespace for a user namespace. This function copies or clones the UTS namespace for a task. This function frees the resources of a UTS namespace. This function retrieves the UTS namespace from a task. This function releases a reference to a UTS namespace. This function installs a new UTS namespace in a namespace set. This function retrieves the owner user namespace of a UTS namespace. This structure defines the operations for the UTS namespace. This function initializes the UTS namespace subsystem. Hope you enjoyed this walkthrough. Please subscribe to our channel. Now, a quick recap of what we covered. This code defines functions and data structures for managing the UTS namespace in the Linux kernel. The UTS namespace provides isolation for the system host name and domain name. The code includes functions for creating, cloning, and freeing UTS namespaces, as well as functions for getting and putting UTS namespaces for a task. It also includes implementation details for the UTS namespace's proc file system operations. The code initializes a kernel memory cache for UTS namespaces during system initialization.